Hey everybody, my name is Bobbie Richardson. I am a seer, a channeler, been given premonition dreams. Pretty much all my life had a very strong connection to my soul, to other beings. They've come and taught me things, shown me things, helped me get out of this matrix within my inner self, my core of myself. Realizing that I am a creator of my reality meant that I had to change something within me, no longer listen to the programming outside of me, not be in fear of anything outside of me, not be in fear of death, all sorts of things, just so that I could bring in a lot more wisdom, see life from many different perspectives, and be able to channel through energies, different beings from different realities, different dimensions, so that I could help guide humanity out of this matrix that we call the program, the veil, the illusion. There is a program that is a natural program that Source Energy, Gaia, the whole of humanity wanted to collectively go on, but then that was pulled into another program because we weren't ready to expand our reality into creating materialistically on Gaia without mucking up other dimensional aspects, and understanding that we are collectively all one at Source Energy at the core. So everything that we choose to accept within ourselves is a reflection that's going to manifest on the outside of us. And I did this video to help as many as I can understand how to get out of the program. It was a channel message by the Pleiadians. They came through, and once I did that message, once I finished the video, all of a sudden this dream came back to me. I had been told many years ago to write down all my dreams. So I woke up one night and saw a pen floating above me, and when I say I see, I literally see these things. They helped me and guided me through my whole life, and this is one way that they did it, where I woke up and saw different messages, saw different beings, felt different energies. So when they told me to write them down, I started to write down a lot of messages, you know, just these are like books from 2001, and it goes right back to, I think the earliest one I did was 1998 when I started, but then I stopped, and then they showed me the pen, and then I started up again in the 2000s. So yeah, there's just all of these books, and then I started to put them into bigger black books and so forth. I haven't pulled these out for a very long time. I went to try to find the dream, but sometimes there was years where I just had needed a rest, and I stopped writing down things, especially if I was going through some sort of massive shift within myself, and even changing location, looking after little girls and stuff like that. So I didn't write them down all the time. I did go through these books to try to find that dream, and I didn't find it. So I'm just going to tell it how I remember in the now. And then we can watch the video. So the dream was about, I was in the dark with a male, a friend of mine that I knew. He's just a friend, and we went up to like a light that was in the dark, and as we went closer, it became like a vortex or a portal or something that was very different, and I knew we could step through it. So we stepped through this portal and found ourselves on a beach, and it was still nighttime. There were stars up in the sky on my right hand side, and as we're walking along the beach, these stars started to morph into fish, and then the fish started to fall into the ocean. And then I said to myself, oh wow, we're in a dream within a dream. That's interesting. And as I'm walking along with this fella, he said to me, I want to go back to Earth and keep the story going, you know, go back and relive, like live the life that I was living. And he lied down in the sand, and then I stood above him and I said, that's okay that you want to go back to that story, but you have to let me lead, because I'm the one with the imagination. And I lied on top of him, and then we ended up going back into the world with me guiding. So if I take a message from that, it was like I had in the dream been shown a portal within myself that when I went into the pineal gland of my own inner knowing of what reality was, I realized that we were in a dream within a dream. So it wasn't just source energy in a dream creating an adventure. It was a dream that was within another dream. And that dream meant that the male side of myself, the logical side of myself, could be in charge. But the logical side of myself, say you just do, it's all within your own psyche, but let's split it so it's easier to compartmentalize, because we are coming from logic, right? Say we have two hemispheres of the brain, and one is the left logical side and one's the right feminine side. The left logical side holds the lineal memory of this life. So it retains what this life is all about. It also holds the program so that we can not put our finger through things, that we can have an understanding of lineal movement through a physical reality. Therefore, you can only have certain boundaries with things that are of physical nature, of material. And then within that first program, that source energy wanted to explore, and that was part of the logical mind is part of the first program that humanity's consciousness can tap into and use to have an adventure, to see someone outside themselves, and to be able to converse, to be able to build houses with material with their hands. But then if the logical mind didn't exist and it was only the right hemisphere that existed, and we would become a very etherical being. We wouldn't have the program held of separation and compartmentalization. We would only have energy that we could converse with, and that could morph into different things as that energy wanted to. There wasn't a stretch of time where that material world, like for instance something solid, will change eventually. This used to be a crystal that was within the Gaia, and when it was interacted with a human hand, they used their imagination to carve this into this, so it changed. So there is a way of changing things, but each object has a hardness about it, or a stable, or a strength, or a strongness about it, that meant that the program could only change and morph it depending on what the first original program is. In other words, a diamond would be harder to change because it's harder substance, but humanity has found ways to manipulate it anyway. And so when we don't have the logical mind, we don't have the program of what's hard and what's not, it's just all energy fluxing in and out of how it feels in the moment. But within the right hemisphere, or the feminine hemisphere, there's also a substance of will and imagination, of gathering other perceived lives, all sorts of other things that it can use to shift the solid outcome that humanity's logical mind thinks there's only one way to do things because of its own past and what it has experienced. In other words, you could get two people. One person couldn't have great wisdom within their logical mind on how to manipulate this crystal into this, and another person would have no idea. And so these two people would take that crystal and go, well, one would say, I don't know how to do that. I don't retain the logic of how to manipulate that crystal into this, the raw crystal into this. And the other person will say, well, I do retain that information, so I will shift it. But the right hemisphere, taking logic away, means that this crystal doesn't have a substance of programmed within it that we have held within our minds. So this becomes energy, and that means that the imagination from the person coming up to these two people, if they didn't have their logical mind, would take the raw crystal and see it as energy, and with their infused energy be able to shift and morph it to whatever they want. Both of them would have that, because we're all just energy at the core of everything anyway. So when my imagination decided I'm going to be in charge now, it's not that the feminine energy is going to be the ones who are leading. It wasn't that. It was that the only way that we can shift a program within a program is to use our imagination to shift us out of it, and imagine and focus on a scope or a reality that we really wanted to live in. That means we had to have control of our imagination, so we're not going to be programmed into a evil reality, or a very limited reality, or a reality that wasn't conducive to how we feel as a human collective. So the imagination has to lead to be able to get us out of that program. Then the logical brain, because it can only grab from the past, because remember, it only retains memory of this life that we're living now. It can only grab that limited life of the past and then move that limited life, move from that into the next piece. And when we're told we're never allowed to use our imagination, that we're to fear our imagination, that our imagination is crazy, it's woo-woo, it's nothing you should ever touch, then we are all that logical brain's constantly looping around in the same scenario, and also looking to somebody else to help, to guide them, to tell them what's the next step, instead of allowing the imagination, which has all soul's connection, has soul memory, to say, hey, do you want to have a crack at bringing telepathy in? And then the logical brain will go, I don't know how to do that, because I just don't know, because I've never been taught, no one's ever taught me. And the imagination that holds keys will dream and have messages coming to it, and allow benevolent beings to tell it the next step, and all this other stuff that would have been considered a woo-woo thing in the program within the program. Now it can come forward and say, logical brain, how about we try this? And it might not work, because it might only work in a life or a dimension that soul knew from being in a different program. So it might not work, but it might. So we do trial and error with our imagination. Let's see if this will work. Let's see if this will work. And as we keep on trying, what we're doing is we're forming a circle or a bond between the logical mind and the right hemisphere and the imaginative mind. And we're now working together to make a change, to create ourselves out of this reality. So that's what I felt that dream's message was, just by me standing up, and saying, let me lead, because I know how to get us out of the program within the program. The feminine right hemisphere has the ability to step outside and try something completely different. And each and every one of us in our souls has gone on different journeys. So there will be those that know, say for instance, have a lot more wisdom within their soul on how to be telekinetic or teleportation or telepathy or astral traveling, or maybe someone's soul might be very clever at bringing things into a logical sense and building buildings and being able to have an understanding of working with certain substances, minerals and metals and wood and all sorts, and with Gaia. But when we're coming from our right hemisphere, we also have the ability to feel into what the other object wants as well. So what the tree's soul wants. Everything dies and everything lives, and it just keeps on regurgitating into different scenarios so that we can live these amazing lives. And a tree will get to a stage where it's like, yes, you can take my body, my tree, my substance, the soul of the tree or the energy of the tree goes back to Gaia and maybe grows into a vine next, or wants to experience what it's like to be a bug, or wants to experience what to be an animal or something. So it'll withdraw its energy, go back to the ether, and then it can come back in. So we can like have this collective energy that is constantly morphing in and out, but only with the permission of the soul itself and the energy of the soul wanting to leave that avatar body, whatever, for another to use. It has to be a permission for that to happen. The place where humanity is going wrong, because we're only using our logical mind and we don't have a feeling that we can connect with animals and we can connect with plant life and trees, that we just we don't listen to the energy of what we're working with. We just control it. And that's why humanity has been controlled as well. So everything is in reflection. We control the animals, something's controlling us. We let go of the control of the animals and start to trust that the natural program will always gift us what we need in the moment, and that sacrifice will be made by the soul wanting to leave the avatar or the body and move into something new anyway, and so that avatar or body can be used for humanity to create something out of. So there's a lot more collective vibration of knowing what logic is all about, and what the imagination and intuition and soul connection is all about. That's going to expand our reality into something completely different. We'll no longer be needing to fence everything, because that's another reflection of the logical mind as well, where the logic needs to compartmentalize everything to keep it safe and to keep it in a memory bank and hold it and own it. Where if we let go and allow ourselves to explore beyond that proverbial fence within the mind, then we have more faith and trust that what is ours will always be ours. And as we move through life saying that we deserve only the best, we will only gain the best. So then on the outside, we no longer need fences to fence everything off. We no longer need to fence in animals. They will literally come into our reality at the right time for us to take its life and be part of the actual collective energy of giving and receiving, and allowing humanity to flourish. But if we went into that dimensional aspect feeling belittled and that we don't deserve, yes, we will end up with very little, and the collective energy of everything else will say, well, that energy doesn't want to survive anymore on this world, so it will slowly disappear. So then humanity will end up becoming extinct. So that's why it's so important to step into these new vibrations with our mind understanding that we are needing to support who we are in a full realization that we're source energy, wanting to see what this body and what these hands and what these feet and what this mind and what these eyes and all of the senses that we have and how we feel and all our emotions can explore. So that's the message for today, and now I'll let you listen to the video that I produced as well. Until next time, love you guys. Bye. you.